I find it just a little bit coincidental. I don't know if you guys will or not, but you have GiveSendGo. It gets hacked, and a whole bunch of information of the different donors for the different Freedom Convoy fundraisers that are going on the platform. All of their information ends up getting leaked, and just a couple of days later, the Canadian government starts seizing and freezing bank accounts. Nothing odd, nothing to be really further examined on that. Now, would you normally think? No. Is there anything necessarily illegal about doxing? You could perceive it in certain ways, but there's no specific doxing provision. Is it ethically wrong? You could say so, but there's a lot of things that some people say are ethically wrong, okay? I'm not one to condone or endorse doxing. It's not something that I would ever partake in, but is it necessarily illegal? I don't know. I don't think so. I haven't seen anything particularly pointed out, and every time that it comes up, it's always one of those, you shouldn't really be doing it, and you're kind of a dickhead for doing as such, but necessarily illegal? Not really. Ergo, when you have somebody just seemingly out of the blue, and it's just odd that it's somebody who's allegedly a part of Anonymous, comes out and outs themselves and tries to give themselves a pat on the back for being the ones to expose those evil right-wingers, it's just none of this stuff is really making sense. But if they're going to be outing themselves on this, it's always, whenever these individuals are found out, either by, turning the docs back on themselves, or when they take credit for this stuff, they're always as weird as you would anticipate them being. Famous cyber terrorist goes on TikTok to take credit for GiveSendGo hack. A self-described cyber terrorist who rose to infamy as a member of the hacktivist group Anonymous is taking credit for the recent breach of GiveSendGo that released names of donors to the Canadian trucker convoy. In a video posted to his TikTok account, which you should know is just coming with a heaping dosing of AIDS, Aubrey Cottle, claimed he hacked the fundraising website that the Freedom Convoy truckers used to raise money for the protests. Yes, I tossed the trucker. I hacked GiveSendGo, and I'd do it again. I'd do it 100 times. I did it. Come at me. What are you going to do to me? Exactly. It's not necessarily illegal, and there might be some technicalities you can get on it, because I don't know where this weirdo lives, and GiveSendGo is headquartered in the United States. This was benefiting, and you're releasing information to the public on Canadians. But then again, I've also seen some reports as well, and I'm not looking at the personal information on these people that's been released, because I don't frankly care about this, but half of the donations, or somewhere around half, all came from the United States in support of that, which is totally fine, okay? Not making any claims to the legitimacy of that, but it's really an international affair, and the Canadian government is taking advantage of this. Well, at least the Emergency Act supportive side of this. Cottle, also known as Curtaner, whatever, fucking weirdos with their pseudonyms online, said in a video, "I'm literally a famous fucking cyber terrorist." Really? Never heard of you before, but thanks. You always know when somebody's famous when they have to proclaim their infamy. And you think that you can scare me. Cottle previously posted a TikTok video on February 7th saying that it would be a real shame if something were to happen to GiveSendGo. On Sunday, GiveSendGo was hacked, and over 92,000 names of donors around the platform were leaked online. The hack also redirected GiveSendGo to, a webpage with Frozen and all that shit. And there we go. Of course, it's some asshole with fucking super dyed hair. He's got a lot of monitors, so you know that he means business. And, ugh. Realistically, this useless idiot accomplished the job that they thought that they could, and in order to be subservient to Big Daddy government, the Canadian government has informed you that the money you a-holes raised to fund an insurrection is frozen. The essay said you committed to funding anything that keeps the raging fire of misinformation going until it burns the world's collective democracies down. By just saying, let us have our liberties back. Yeah, weird. But again, I'm not one of these fucking keyboard warriors who thinks that you're really making a difference by putting, a Jane and John Smith's name online in their $50 donation. Good for you, I guess. But where that information goes for the Canadian government, well, that's where the real problem is, okay? Because under the Emergencies Act, we talked about that Monday, okay? Monday or Tuesday when we illuminated things further. Can't quite remember. A 50-minute long video. Trudeau's in a pink Nazi uniform. It was a very fun thumbnail for all those concerned. But now we have the Canadian Police to send names of trucker protesters to financial institutions to cross with, anybody else who might show up on that doxing list. Just saying. Canadian banks will receive the names of people involved in the Freedom Convoy protests that have descended on the nation's capital, a first step in the promised financial crackdown on the government. Oh, and the demonstrators being instituted by far-left government of Justin Trudeau, which I don't think you can really dispute at this point. But I also said that, yeah, that was definitely going to be the case. When they announced that they were going to be freezing, seizing, whatever, okay, any sort of financial means of the protesters that are down there, the way that they do that is they just start mass arresting, taking down names, looking at the different banks that are out there that are totally in compliance with all that stuff, because you've seen TD freeze out the accounts of GiveSendGo, okay, at least the recipients of the Freedom Convoy crowdfunding effort, okay, freeze them out after GiveSendGo just told Trudeau, hey, go fuck yourself, hey, buddy. But now the Canadian feds are going to be stepping in. They're just going to be stepping up their enforcement of this by taking down the names and all the pertinent information of anybody who's going to be down in Ottawa because of that big, scary insurrection that's happening, which we'll see more pictures of, and you can go ahead and judge for yourself as to the severity of the protesters that are down there. Bloomberg reports the Canadian Bankers Association confirmed the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, our version of the feds, has alerted banks to the list of names and made it available. Institutions are reportedly still seeking clarity from law enforcement on how to handle the alleged protesters' accounts, according to people familiar with the matter. But Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland said some accounts have already been frozen, the news outlet reported. Yep, and we're going to go ahead and move on to that because banks have started freezing accounts of some involved in protests, Canada's Deputy Prime Minister says. The RCMP have started sharing names of individuals and corporations, as well as the cryptocurrency wallets and financial institutions to freeze the accounts of some people involved with convoy blockades and protests, federal ministers say. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland told reporters in a press conference on February 17th, so this ain't no speculation shit. This isn't somebody taking credit for this stuff or saying that, oh, we're starting to freeze accounts. No, they're literally freezing accounts. The names of both individuals and entities as well as crypto wallets have been shared by the RCMP with financial institutions, and the accounts have been frozen. And more accounts will be frozen. Saying this like it's a declaration, like you're on the right side of history. We're doing the right thing. Everybody's laughing at you, you fucking empty egg carton. Crowdfunding platforms and payment service providers have started the registration process with FinTrack. Who exactly? Can you point to them? The announcement comes after Prime Minister enacted or invoked the Emergencies Act on, what was that? Yeah, Monday, February 14th. That's nice. On Valentine's Day. How adorable. The measure we enacted include broadening the scope of Canadian rules to fight money laundering and terrorism financing. What terrorism exactly? And what money laundering are we talking about here? But that's nice. You support something that the Liberal government doesn't like, and ergo, you're a terrorist or a money launderer. Okay. So that it includes social financing platforms and various financial transaction institutions. It will also enable them to report suspicious and other activities to FinTrack, which is just the financial tracking. It's like the IRS, okay, up here in Canada, that equivalent. And it will help put an end to this. Sure. Or maybe they'll just wait you out, okay? It's like time is not necessarily on your side. Unless, of course, you're just going to go down there and you're just going to start marching people out into the streets and fucking shooting them in the back of the head right out in front of Parliament Hill. That would totally make sense, too. That would just be in your MO. But all of this is just an escalation in rhetoric, really. Okay, they're freezing bank accounts. That's nice. Theoretically, the truckers and all of the bigger heads can all still deal in cash, okay? So until you take it up a notch and you start forcibly removing trucks and people out of Ottawa, this is just bluster. This is what we've come to expect from Justin Trudeau, okay? It's all about the words. It's never about the actions, because the words mean so much to this guy. His image means so much to him because the actual substance of what he does and what he stands for is shaped like whatever container you pour it into. And now it's finally being exposed to the world. And that's not exactly anything that is exclusive to Trudeau. It's also to his cronies as well, because you've seen the overall glee and the incredible willingness of Deputy Prime Minister Freeland to start seizing and taking people's money, you have Canada's Justice Minister, okay, so the head of our Department of Justice, not the Attorney General or anything like that, but the person in charge of the judiciary under the, well, Liberal government. Trump supporters, wait, what? Trump supporters in Canada. What? Okay. Ought to be worried about frozen bank accounts. Oh, okay, cool. So merely if you're a simple Trump supporter, okay, if you are somebody who likes the policies of Donald Trump or his offshoots as well, I don't even know what he means by this, nor does anybody else really. And even if you aren't directly supporting the truckers, you should be worried about having your bank account frozen as well. This is where we're at right now, people. Canada's Justice Minister David Lametti has told Trump supporters who donated to the Freedom Convoy to be worried about having their bank accounts frozen. Or maybe he's talking to the people who could actually actively support Trump, okay? Like the Americans who donated to the crowdfunding effort for the Freedom Convoy. You don't have jurisdiction over them, you fucking retard. Speaking with CTV News, when Lametti was asked if regular citizens who donated to the Freedom Convoy protest in opposition to the vaccine mandates should be worried about having their assets frozen by the government, Lametti singled out pro-Trumpers. Why? Because the specter of Orange Man just stretches far and wide. Okay, there's two barriers here, Lametti, okay? You're Canadian, for one, he can't hurt you, okay? And two, he's out of office. What the fuck is wrong with you? You just compared people who may have donated to this as the same, who are funding a terrorist. I just want you to be clear here, sir. A lot of folks say, look, I just don't like your vaccine mandates, and I donated to this. Now it's illegal. Should I be worried about that my bank can freeze my account? What's your answer to this? That's a fair question because, yeah, arbitrarily overnight, this went from being a peaceful protest to something that Justin Trudeau doesn't like so much that he made it illegal. Under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, it's still as legal as it's ever been. But now, thanks to the Emergencies Act and him being laughed out of just about every corner of the world, he can be just a little tyrant, Trudolf Hitler, as it were. Well, I think you are a member of a pro-Trump movement who's donating hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to this kind of thing. They ought to be worried. What are you doing? This motherfucker's crazy, responded Lametti. Lametti also said the truckers could lose their trucking license if they participated in the protest, or if the company permitted them to participate in the protest. Okay, so freeze their assets and then cost them to lose their driver's licenses because reasons? Okay. But of course, just like the rainbow-headed weirdo, we got the reverse Q-tip. Lametti here just making these blusterous claims. Don't come down and protest because using your voice is stupid. Unless, of course, you want to support Black Lives Matter, then I would have been totally by you last year. But now it's different. If you wanted to tear down statues, that would have been fine. But now the honking hasn't stopped. As for the man himself, yeah, we've talked a lot about his subordinates here. What's Trudeau doing in all of this? And when I said the man himself, I'm using the term man very loosely. Well, he's fighting to keep his emergency powers alive as he faces fierce opposition in Parliament as much as you can, right? Because we know the NDP's in his back pocket. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is facing tough opposition in Parliament. He's facing mean words, let's just be fair, as he battles to maintain his emergency powers to crack down on Freedom Convoy protesters. On Thursday, legislation upholding Trudeau's declaration of the Emergencies Act was presented in Parliament when Conservative and Bloc Québécois MPs voiced fierce opposition. That's always weird to see the Conservatives and the Bloc Québécois working hand in hand, but this is where we're at right now. However, the left-leaning New Democrats, what? Okay, they're socialists, okay? And they're led by one of the craziest people in all of politics, in the world, literally. Jagmeet Singh said they would reluctantly support Trudeau's minority liberal government like they have over the past 3 years at this point. I'm pretty sure the minority government was established in 2019, by the way, and they have licked the sack of the liberal government the entire fucking time. So like they have here, virtually ensuring passage of the measure upholding his emergency powers in the House of Commons. Together, the two parties hold 184 seats out of 338 in the lower chamber. Just barely enough, because in order for Trudeau to pass anything through a minority government, he specifically needs the NDP or the Conservatives to back him, because the Bloc doesn't have enough seats to really matter at all. So yeah, they're working with the Conservatives right now, but they make up the rest of the seats, okay? Oh, and I think that there's, what, 1 or 2 members of the Green Party. Again, they're just a little bunny fringe that's too busy infighting with themselves. Under law, any use of the Emergencies Act must be brought before Parliament within 7 days for approval. It was always going to be a rubber stamping, because NDP was always going to be like, oh, the government wants more tyrannical powers. We want in on that. As debate raged in Parliament, police poured into downtown Ottawa on Thursday in what truckers feared was a prelude to a crackdown on the protests over vaccine mandates, which has paralyzed the streets of the capital for nearly 3 weeks. Again, okay, do we need to go over this shit and the fact that all the fucking lanes are still open, okay, outside of Wellington Street, right in front, where all the protests normally fucking happen in Ottawa anyways? Every other street has at least 1, if not 2 fucking lanes for regular traffic to go on, but these people don't know because they're not down there. They're just talking out their fucking asses. Oh, there he is right there. How cute. Ottawa's interim police chief, Steve Bell, said in a press conference on Thursday that checkpoints are being established to lock down the city's core and prevent additional protesters from joining the demonstration. He said protesters currently camped out at the demonstration are free to leave and encourage them to do so. It eventually is just going to be accompanied by you guys are free to leave. Addressing the House, Trudeau pleaded with legislators to support his extraordinary powers. I want more power! Give me more power! Which have enabled him to summarily freeze bank accounts and crypto wallets tied to protests in a bid to cut off funding for the movement. Okay, point of order. Okay, if he doesn't have the power necessary, how is he freezing bank accounts right now? Maybe that is just all bluster. Or maybe they're just acting with just a little bit more power than they think that they really have right now. But again, Trudeau just has a rubber stamp to do anything he wants thanks to the NDP. It's high time that these illegal and dangerous activities stop, Trudeau declared in Parliament, not far from where the more than 300 trucks were parked in a protest final stand around Parliament Hill. And again, has he gone out there to discuss anything? Has anybody been out there to discuss anything with the truckers or any of the figureheads of the convoy itself? No, of course, they're just evil, racist, sexist bigots that are out there flashing the peace sign in the fucking rain. Oh, we're just gonna see this in pictures, by the way, and this is how we're gonna wrap up, because I don't know what the fucking weekend's gonna hold. Over the past few weekends, there have been massive protests, like tens of thousands of people in the street, but if the RCMP are actually setting up check stops around Ottawa, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird, and we'll do an update on Monday, unless, of course, bullets start flying, then I'll have to fucking break in, but, this is the quality of, dangerous insurrectionists and racists and bigots that are out there. So yeah, a lot of hockey sticks, a lot of Canadian flags, and a lot of police officers just kind of being like, why the fuck are we even here? But for the last thing there, that is actually a real thing. That's from Elon Musk. It's fucking hilarious, by the way, and it's just about bang on, okay? Tesla CEO Elon Musk, the world's richest man, waded into the controversy on Twitter. He has multiple times. When all of this stuff was organizing and when the convoy was heading across the country, you guys might remember this as well, but he was saying Canadian truckers rule. He has been supportive of this the entire way. So for him to post a spicy meme is totally not out of character for him. Waded into the controversy on Twitter by posting an incendiary meme comparing Trudeau to genocidal dictator Adolf Hitler. Well, if he starts shooting on the truckers, I don't know. I don't think there's 6 million people down there, but it's a start. Stop comparing me to Justin Trudeau. I had a budget, reads the meme featuring an image of Hitler, which Musk tweeted in response to an article about the freeze on certain crypto wallets. It's not about actually seizing the funds of the people. Okay, this is about intimidation. because a few $10 million in the crowdfunding. Okay, some people's bank accounts putting a freeze on them. The Canadian government doesn't need it. Fuck, they don't even know what financial theory really is anyways. It's about scaring people. Like I said earlier in the video, Trudeau doesn't do anything when it comes to actual substance, okay? It's all about his image, and that's the way that he's governed since 2015, okay? He puts on this air that he's everywhere. He thinks he's fucking Jesus Christ incarnate. He's literally everywhere. He's the most important man who has ever lived, and he wants to be the most popular person, and he literally thinks that he has the support of the people when it comes to this Emergencies Act because he governs by opinion poll. He governs by a small cabal of people that are around him in Ottawa. That's why he goes off to his little cottage, his little secluded trips that he later has to apologize for, because it doesn't matter to his base. His base is always going to be his base, and they're always just going to fucking vote for him. They're going to vote for whoever's red, which is liberal, wherever he goes. He doesn't want to have to answer for any of his actions because he has the moral high ground. And I'm glad the rest of the world is finally getting to see this, because he's always just been that hilarious fucking super woke world leader who was like, oh no, that's people kind, or dressing up in blackface, or traditional Indian garb, dot, not feather. It's just now he's the final manifestation of woke policies, okay? They always think that they're right in all of their endeavors. They always have the correct opinion on things, and then when reality starts to smack them in the face, they just want to be the tyrant like he is currently manifesting. So we'll see where this goes over the weekend. Probably give it an update on Monday, because I couldn't imagine much is going to develop overnight. But again, I reserve the right to be wrong, and hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe it'll just be a continued standoff as more not states or countries, but more provinces drop their measures. Because what are we at now? Ontario's looking to be dropping theirs, which is where all of this is happening. Quebec dropped it. Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta. What do you got? You got the coasts, and I don't even know what I don't even know what that is, okay? It might be total fucking work of fiction, because I've never really seen a newfie in the area ever go back to where they're from. They mostly just show up here and they just say that they're from this faraway land, so I'll believe it when I see it. But that's the update on Canada. They're starting to take bank accounts, maybe, kind of. But again, just also trying to validate their use of the Emergencies Act while not being laughed at by the entire world, when real serious problems like something in the Ukraine never really materializing. But don't worry, Kamala's on the case, whatever. With that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.